Hey guys, welcome back to Under the Radar Books. I am Brittany and today I'm going to be doing my November wrap up. First thing that I finished, which I was almost done with at the end of October, was This Giant, which is It by Stephen King. And I had the exact same reaction this time around that I did when I was younger, as well as the reaction that I have when I watch the movie, and that is that the first 75% of it is fantastic, and then the ending just really does not work for me. So, and if you've read this, you can probably think about the part that I'm talking about that really bothers me, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who still plans on reading it. I would still recommend it, but I gave it 3 stars overall just because I couldn't stand that one part at the very end. So, I know that's like not helping to anyone who's watching this, but if you haven't read this book. But as far as the rest of the story goes, it is so well written, the characters are so developed, and it's awesome that it bounces back and forth in time from when they're kids to when they're adults, and it's so effortless and easy to follow. Stephen King really is a master writer, and so I can appreciate that. And so overall, I mean, it was a good reading experience. Like I said, I enjoyed like 98% of it. It was just right towards the very end, something happens that just totally like upset me and made me angry. So anyways, I did enjoy myself, and I really liked the audiobook. The narrator was fantastic, so if you are feeling overwhelmed in picking this up, I would highly recommend maybe reading it as well as listening to it, because that made it go by a lot faster for me, and I really enjoyed the audiobook experience. So like I said, that was a 3-star book. A little bit disappointing. Next, I read volume 2 of Uzumaki. This is a manga trilogy that follows a small town that people start dying in really mysterious ways, and everything involves this spiral shape, and this is so creepy and so weird and so gross. I don't even know what else to say about it, but this one especially was really weird, and like, I like weird and I like horror and like strange things, and this was just so odd. But I mean, if you like weird stuff and you like horror, this is like the perfect graphic novel manga for you, because it is just straight up bizarre. But like, some of the illustrations like haunt me. I mean, they're just so creepy. Here, that's a good one. Anyways, super creepy, super weird. I do have the 3rd volume, so I'll probably be picking it up really quick. They're super quick reads, really addicting. I cannot put it down. So I think I gave this one 3 stars as well. Next up, I had just started this at the end of October, and so this is the next book that I finished, and that was False Hearts by Laura Lamb. And I did really enjoy this. I think I actually gave this one 3 stars as well. It was like a 3-star reading month for me. Nothing like really wowed me. So this follows the protagonist of the story is a twin, and they were raised in this cult-like atmosphere, basically outside of the rest of the world. And they were born as Siamese twins, and they've been sheltered, and this is supposed to be some time in the future, so there's like tons of technology, and our world is really advanced, and everybody kind of like modifies their bodies, and just technology is so advanced, nobody's like sick or has illnesses or problems or anything. And so these 2 sisters start dying because they're Siamese twins and their bodies can't support it as they're getting older. So they decide, along with their parents, that they're going to leave this cult and go into the real world so that they can get surgery and be separated from one another and to continue to live. But that's just one tiny portion of the story. The rest of the story involves a type of drug that basically gives you like lucid dreaming, and you get to kind of play out your most like violent fantasies and things like that, so that like it keeps violence out of the streets and makes people not give into those urges in real life. It gives them like an outlet, is this type of drug. And so these sisters get wrapped up in this like underground drug world, and basically the equivalent of the mob in this time period. And so it's kind of like a mix of like sci-fi and noir and like a crime thriller. So, and there's like a little bit of a love story in there. So I did really enjoy this. It was super entertaining and really easy to read. And I would definitely read some other things from Laura Lamb because I really liked her writing style. Just super easy to get into. But once again, it didn't wow me. I wasn't super excited by anything. I found some parts kind of predictable. So yeah, just the 3-star read. It was good, but it wasn't great. Next was a book that I was so obnoxiously excited for, and that is The Doll Funeral by Kate Hamer. And I have to thank Faber for sending this to me, because I was so excited when I heard about it. I think it was either Simon or Jen's channel that I heard about it on, and when they read the blurb, I was like, oh my gosh, I need this in my possession right away. So immediately when I got it, I knew I was going to pick it up, and I really want to read the back, because I just think that's what really grabbed me. It says, "My name is Ruby. I live with Barbara and Mick. They're not my real parents, but they tell me what to do and what to say. I'm supposed to say that the bruises on my arms and the black eye came from falling down the stairs, but there are things I won't say. I won't tell them I'm going to hunt for my real parents. I don't say a word about Shadow, who sits on the stairs, or the wasp lady I saw on the way to bed. I did tell Mick that I saw the woman in the buttercup dress hanging upside down from her seatbelt deep in the forest at the back of our house. I told him I saw death crawl out of her. He said he'd give me a medal for lying. I wasn't lying. I'm a hunter for lost souls, and I'm going to be with my real family. I'm not going to let Mick stop me." So, obviously this kind of seems, from the blurb, it talks about the fact that Ruby, the protagonist, can see spirits and ghosts, and I did enjoy that part of it, but I almost felt like the blurb was a little bit misleading, because you do touch on these characters that she's talking about, but in reality, it focuses a lot more on her life. It's definitely a coming-of-age story. It talks about struggles with abuse in the home and things like that, which I think made for a good story, but I felt like I was almost misled. By reading the blurb, it kind of makes me feel like the focus is going to be on the fact that Ruby can see spirits, but I feel like that wasn't really the main component, so I was like a little bit disappointed by that. I felt like it would be more of a supernatural book than it was, and so I think I was a little bit disappointed in that regard. And I think a lot of it was just the fact that I was so excited for it, so I was bound to be let down a little bit because I put so much expectations on this one. I think it's pretty close to 4 stars for me, but for some reason it took me a really long time to read. I don't know why. I think it took me a couple weeks to get through it, and I'm really not sure why, but yeah, it just felt kind of sluggish in the plot for me, and I didn't feel super connected with the characters, but it definitely is interesting, and so I would recommend it highly. And I would also recommend Kate Hamer's first book, The Girl in the Red Coat, which is also really interesting. I think both make really good buddy reads. They're really good discussion books. I still would recommend this, but once again, kind of a mediocre read for me. So next are the 2 books that I'm in the middle of. I'm also reading Bitch Planet Volume 1, which I've only read a couple pages of. I just downloaded it from the library on my iPad, and I just kind of went through the first part, and I'm really liking it. It's super entertaining, so I am going to finish that one pretty soon. I have about 20 pages left of this book. This is Florence and Giles by John Harding. This is going to get a very high rating from me, because this might be one of the creepiest books I have ever read, just for the fact that it is and isn't a ghost story, but it is so subtle and it leaves so much to your imagination. It's exactly like the old school ghost stories and gothic novels that I really love, where you do all of the creativeness in your head and you create the scary atmosphere. And so this has genuinely given me nightmares, even though there's nothing that is like over the top scary in your face. Like if you're tentative to pick up horror novels or scary books, don't be scared of this, because you kind of control what's happening. They just hint at things. So this is so good. It follows a young girl. She's 12. Her name is Florence. She has a little brother named Giles. And Giles basically gets bullied when he goes off to school. And so he comes back home, and they are supposed to hire a governess. So the first governess that they hire actually is sadly has an accident, and she drowns in the lake in the back of their house. And then the new governess that they get is there's something not right about her. And Florence knows this right away, and she starts figuring out that she thinks this new governess is going to try to steal Giles away from her. And there are so many little hints at supernatural things, but you just don't know whether Florence is really a reliable narrator. You don't know whether she's making it all up, or if she's going crazy, or what's going on, and I absolutely love that. And like I said, I have 20 pages left. I still have no idea what's going to happen, so that is like just the perfect gothic novel for me. It's like my favorite type of book, so I'm really loving this, and I will not be surprised if it gets a solid 5 stars for me. I am also almost finished with this one, which was my nod to Nonfiction November, and that is Scream: Chilling Adventures in the Size of Fear by Margie Kerr. And I heard about this from Liberty, from Book Riot, on one of the podcasts, and she talked about how this follows, I think she's a psychology major or a sociology major. I can't remember, but she decides that she wants to find out why we're so addicted to fear. Why do we like to be scared? Why do we go on roller coasters? Why do we like haunted houses and scary movies? What is the science behind that, and why as human beings do we find that thrilling? And there's actually really interesting things that have to do with the chemicals in your brain and things like that, that make you want to be afraid, and it's super interesting. She goes through all of these different scenarios. Like, she goes to the biggest roller coaster that's in Japan, I want to say, and then she goes to, you know, the scariest haunted houses in the world. Then she goes to the suicide forest, and just experiences all these different things and what that process is like, and I'm really, really loving it. This is another one that I'm reading and listening to on audio. The audiobook is great, so I'd really recommend this, and it's super easy to follow. It's a great nonfiction pick for people who are kind of hesitant to read nonfiction. I find it really interesting, and definitely fast-paced, so I think this will probably get a 4-star from me. I would recommend this one as well. These are the books that I read and halfway read in the month of November. I'm really curious to see how you guys fared in November. Did you have a good reading month? Did you get a lot read? Did you have any 5-star books in there? I'd love to hear. Leave me some comments down below. And until next time, happy reading, everybody.